from a group of bikers that killed 3 people in a cowboy-style shootout at a bar in Oklahoma.
Biker gangs clashed inside an Oklahoma City bar Saturday, leaving 3 of them dead.
To a white Crip that caught 5 bodies as part of his initiation.
A shooting that left 5 people dead. We're learning more now about the ghost guns used in the attack.
Here are the deadliest and most feared white gang members. The first section we are going to be covering are white boys with bodies. At number 5, Michael Cooper, who went by the street nickname Ran Ran, grew up homeless to 2 parents that were severely addicted to illegal substances. Life for Ran Ran was rough and full of constant instability, and in jail calls where he is currently staying and where he will be for the rest of his life. He talks about how hard his childhood was, and he explains how his mom would sell her body for a bag of chips so him and his brothers would have something to eat for dinner. Because of his horrific upbringing, it made him tough as nails, and it should come to no surprise as to why he got involved with the streets. Right when he was getting ready to go to high school because of a government assistance program, his mom was able to get a house in the 1200 block on Patterson Street, and he ended up attending John W. North High School. Once he got there, being the only white boy at an all-black high school made him stand out like a sore thumb. Since he grew up living in tents and fighting homeless men for food, he was not about to let anyone punk him. And when a member from 1000 block, a local blood set, thought that Michael was soft and tried to rob him, he quickly learned his lesson after Michael took out his pocket knife and started poking him up in the middle of the cafeteria. The 1000 block member got severely injured and got rushed to the hospital, and unfortunately for Michael, after only 2 weeks enrolled in high school, he got kicked out, and now he was stuck at home all day with no friends and nothing to do. One day, while at the local corner store to pick up some snacks, he ran into members from the 1200 block East Coast Crips who recognized him from school. At the time, the East Coast Crips were beefing with the 1000 block Bloods, and they respected Michael for standing up for himself and sending one of their rivals to the hospital. They then invited him out to a party, and because of his good looks, he got the attention of all the girls who spoke very highly of him, and they told the guys to keep bringing him around. At the next party, things were not as fun when some members of Eastside Riva, also known as ESR, a Sereno set that was there, main rivals pulled up and started dumping, and tragically, a 33-year-old East Coast Crip member who went by the name Head Tap lost his life. After this, it was on site with the East Coast Crips and ESR, and after the police left the scene, the East Coast Crips continued drinking and partying while they came up with a plan to get revenge for their homie. After overhearing their talks of revenge, Michael ends up offering his services, and at first the guys laugh, but an older homie with a lot of respect ends up handing him a blicky and shows Michael where ESR's hood is and tells him to get busy, and he explains that if he comes back with any hats that he will get officially sanctioned into the set. The ESR territory is defined by heavy lines. To the north, you have 3rd Street. To the south, it stretches all the way down to University Avenue. And to the west, it hits the historical border of Kansas Avenue. This is the grid they've held for generations, a massive urban sprawl where they soldiers posted up and defend with a zero-tolerance policy. Michael then gets on his bike and rides to Boardwell Park, and because of the way he looks, nobody suspects anything. When he gets there, 2 unsuspecting ESR members are hanging out, drinking, and having a good time. Ricardo Rico Mendez realizes what is about to happen, so he starts to run. But unfortunately, it is too late because Michael starts dumping and he tragically loses his life. But Michael is not finished. He then pulls up on Javi Espinoza, who tried running away but slipped, and he finishes him off as well. As soon as he gets back, they throw him a party and they give him the nickname Ran Ran because both men tried to run before they got dropped. Only 8 days later, while riding around on his bike, he catches another ESR member, 29-year-old Marcos Troubles Ramirez, lacking outside of a corner store. And he gets busy and catches another hat, and he adds another point to the scoreboard. Because this all happened over 20 years ago, there aren't cameras everywhere like there are today, and for the next 5 years, he is able to enjoy his life and freedom with his set. Eventually, he gets that itch back in him, and while out at a party, he ends up slumping 24-year-old Arturo Galindo and his older brother Sergio Rosas in front of a bunch of witnesses, and by pure luck, he is able to get away with it until his girlfriend breaks up with him after he gets caught cheating and his whole life comes crashing down. She goes to police, tells them everything, gets Ran on wiretap telling on himself, and he gets sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. At number 4, when thinking of the deadliest white gangbangers of all time, one of the first names that pops to my mind is the evil white Crip Goldie. Goldie's story is one of the wildest to ever come out of Compton. A white man from the Park Village Crips, Goldie wasn't just a hangaround or a name on the streets. He earned his reputation the hard way. He built a reputation as a driller that was always trying to prove something, so whenever it was time to go on a mission, he was always the first to raise his hand. From rolling with one of the most respected Crip sets in Compton to catching 2 bodies in a violent ambush, Goldie's name is still remembered in LA gang history. This is the story of David James Livingston, better known as Goldie. For Goldie, who grew up in poverty with 2 parents with severe addiction issues, this caused him from a young age to be introduced to the harsh realities of the streets. Since his mom and dad were always strung out, this left Goldie alone in the world, forced to fend for himself and navigate life on his own. Since his parents spent all their money on illegal substances, all they could afford after they got there, Fix was cheap housing in the hood. Because he was the only white guy on his block, he stood out like a sore thumb and was viciously bullied. Goldie always showed a lot of heart. He wasn't going to let just any buster mark him out. And even if he knew he was going to lose the fight, he would still scrap it out, even if it was a 5-on-1. And he had absolutely no chance. He was still always down to throw hands. Because he wasn't a punk and always showed a lot of heart, eventually he got the respect of the other guys on the block and started making friends. As his friendships grew, one thing led to another, and eventually he got officially sanctioned and jumped into the Park Village Crips. Since he feels the constant need to prove himself, as soon as he gets jumped into the gang, he starts going on missions and doing everything he possibly can to get his rank up. Goldie was different from the start. He stood out in a world where white members in black gangs were rare. He wasn't just feared, he was also respected. People in Compton knew him as certified. He wasn't someone pretending to be something he wasn't. He grew up around the lifestyle, and by the time he was running with the Park Village Crips, his reputation was already solid. The Park Village Crips, based out of Compton, have long been at war with surrounding blood sets and rival hoods. Goldie represented his set heavily and was seen as a stepper, a soldier willing to put in work. Even rival gangs admitted he was active. But everything would change in January 1999, during an ambush that made headlines across California. On the night of January 4th, 1999, Goldie and other Park Village members rolled up on the new Wilmington Arms housing complex in Compton. Goldie was drunk, and after getting into an argument with security guards at the complex, he blacked out and whipped out his blicky and started dumping, tragically killing both men who were just trying to do their job. There's a theory surfacing online that the target wasn't random. This was a security team working at the complex, seen by many gang members as siding with rivals or interfering in street politics. But the most likely scenario is that these guys were completely innocent and had nothing to do with the streets and just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. This single event would end Goldie's freedom. Police quickly tied Goldie to the shooting. Witnesses pointed him out and prosecutors painted him as the shooter. He was charged with 2 counts of murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, and is currently still sitting and rotting away inside a California prison. At number 3, in the crazy world of Florida TikTok, clout is the only currency that matters, and TikTokers are willing to do just about anything to get their hands on it.
Yo, you already know who it is. I'm here with
Nick.
And my question today is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad would you beat my dog?
That's for real, like, oh God.
What if I told you he was right behind you?
She's a runner, she's a track star.
For this Florida TikToker who calls himself Kodak White, he wants nothing more out of life other than for people to recognize him as really being about that life. And unfortunately for him, the end is coming soon. For 21-year-old Kyle Harrington, known to over 200,000 followers as K. Jones or Kodak White, he was able to build a brand on drill culture and the fact he looks the way he does and is affiliated with a real set in Florida, the Valentine Bloods, and they recently were the subject of a massive takedown.
40 suspected members and associates are in jail tonight.
It was all about dismantling the hierarchy. The Polk County Sheriff's Office, for the first time in the department's history, using a wiretap to take down suspected members. This massive law enforcement operation eliminated the main leadership.
For anyone affiliated with this group that is still free and out here in the streets causing destruction, understand that this is Florida and the end is coming soon.
We listen to social media apps, where we listen to cell phones and their communication. First-degree felony of racketeering is 30 years. When you do a gang enhancement, it's life. Our goal is that they never breathe air outside of a prison again.
After these massive takedowns, somehow Kodak White, because of the way he looks, was able to avoid the police until recently, when he made a very poor decision that will cost him the rest of his life. On February 12th in 2026, the clout chasing ended and a real-world nightmare began in Auburndale, Florida. The motive for the poor decision wasn't related to the set he is affiliated with or some high-level act of betrayal or some kind of risk he was willing to take to make a large amount of money. It was over a petty argument over an eighth. Harrington had been providing 32-year-old Portia Crossley with free gas with the hopes that the two would get intimate. But after making a move and finding out that she only looks at him like a friend, he got extremely upset and cut off her free supply, and the friendship turned toxic. After a heated text exchange where she called him a little punk, Harrington issued the ultimate internet tough guy challenge and told her to pull up so he could show the world he was standing on business. At approximately 10:30 a.m., she arrived at Harrington's residence at Century Boulevard. According to neighborhood surveillance footage, the two had a brief verbal dispute before Crossley turned to walk back to her vehicle. Harrington didn't let her leave. He followed her to the front of her car, and as she turned around, he pulled out his hammer and started dumping. Tragically, she was hit multiple times in the head, and as a result, she is no longer with us. Allegedly, this whole argument stemmed over him trying to charge her $45 for an eighth, and instead of trying to speed off as fast as possible, Kodak White decided to stay around his apartment complex, because at the time of the incident he had just posted a video and he needed Wi-Fi for it to finish uploading on his TikTok channel. Unfortunately for Kodak White, he waited too long and police arrived just in time to pick him up, and now this TikToker is now facing life in prison. I wonder how many views that video he cared so much about posting got. And this marks the end of freedom for this TikTok is going to be coming in the near future. At number 2. In this next clip, we look at a white rapper who goes by the name CTS Lou Wick. That's already been to trial and beaten a body bro is as real as they get, and a terror in the streets of St. Louis where he is from. A lot of people don't realize this, but St. Louis is much more dangerous than people realize and is currently ranked the 3rd most dangerous city in America. If you're living in St. Louis, it's like living in the Purge. The whole city is lawless and overrun with vicious criminal street gangs, along with hardcore substance abuse and extreme poverty.
Shootings in both North and South St. Louis. 1 person is dead, 5 others are injured.
Fox 2's Chris Renier is live downtown at police headquarters with details on both of those shootings. Chris, what happened?
Blair and John, good morning to both of you. We have no word from police this morning on any connections between these two shootings, but the incidents definitely took a toll. In one place, someone was killed, and the other 5 people were hurt, including teenagers. Let's first get you the video from.
And this was the treacherous environment CTS Lou Wick was growing up in. At a very young age, he ended up joining a criminal street gang, and bro built a reputation as a driller that was out there sliding on rivals. In the late summer of 2022, a deadly shooting in South St. Louis would land up-and-coming rapper CTS Lou Wick in handcuffs and facing life in prison. The police said it was murder, but a jury would see something else. On August 26, 2022, at approximately 2:15 p.m., a fatal shootout near the intersection of South Broadway and Nebraska Avenue forever changed the life of a young St. Louis rapper. Michael Henderson, stage name CTS Lou Wick, was just 18 years old on August 26th. Riding a mini bike downtown with friends, he seemed on the verge of rising in the local music scene until a white Jeep intercepted his path. Video surveillance shows a white Jeep SUV, driven by 42-year-old Joseph Raymond Shaw, making a U-turn near Henderson. According to some reports and internet rumors, this man is believed to have been CTS Lou Wick's stepdad. This is when the deadly shooting occurs and CTS Lou Wick catches a legal body. Henderson later testified that a passenger in the Jeep pulled a gun and fired first, prompting him to draw his weapon in self-defense. CTS Lou Wick shot Shaw in the forehead, causing the Jeep to crash and Shaw to die at the scene. Henderson's mini bike crashed too, and he fled on foot shortly after. Investigators used surveillance footage, mini bike registration, and cell phone location records to identify Henderson at the scene. Inside Shaw's Jeep, police discovered a .22 caliber revolver containing 8 spent shell casings, suggesting the Jeep's occupants had fired multiple shots. Defense attorneys emphasized that the lead investigator admitted he didn't know about the spent casings during testimony, creating doubt about who fired first. On October 3, 2022, Henderson was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. Prosecutors centered their case on Henderson's aggressive mini-bike pursuit and violent rap lyrics posted months earlier. They argued the content suggested premeditation. The trial began in late January 2024. Defense attorney Terry Nyhoff contended Henderson acted in reasonable fear for his life, emphasizing the Jeep passenger's refusal to testify and weaknesses in the state's forensic timeline. Prosecutors tried to use Henderson's rap lyrics as admission of guilt, but jurors remained unconvinced. On January 25, 2024, CTS Lou Wick got the break of a lifetime after just 2 hours of deliberation. The jury delivered a verdict of not guilty on both counts.
A St. Louis rapper known as CTS Lil Wick is found not guilty of murder after a 3-day trial. Jurors declared 19-year-old Michael Henderson not guilty of Joseph Shaw's death. Henderson was accused of shooting into Shaw's car from his bike and then leaving. Henderson says he shot Shaw in self-defense. He says he saw someone in Shaw's car point a gun at him and he thought his life was in danger.
Henderson was released immediately. In post-trial interviews, he addressed a widely circulated rumor that his victim was his stepfather. He categorically denied that claim. Joseph Shaw was not related to him, and no legal or police document links them as family. When asked about if it was his stepdad that he smoked during an interview, CTS Lou Wick and his homies crashed out, whipped out some choppers and blickies, and this happened.
I ain't gonna fake on everything. Look, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I straight keep hearing this little rumor, man. Like, I just wanna know, like, dang, is it true that you killed your stepdad, bro? What type of weird?
I always knew Sid from Toy Story was going to have some issues later on in life, but I never could have guessed that he was going to go out and catch a body. At number 1. Welcome to the story of White Grape. If you know Memphis Drill, you know the name. Not because of a hit song, not because of a viral freestyle, but because one day he was around and the next day he wasn't. According to the streets, White Grape had a reputation. He was around the Choppa Gang movement when Memphis Drill was starting to build real noise. His name was spoken with familiarity. He wasn't a random outsider. He was one of the guys going on missions and whose name was ringing bells. Before courtrooms, before indictments, before his name showed up on every local news outlet, he was living in a house of horrors. And houses shaped by harmful substance habits don't look dramatic from the outside. They look normal, until you live inside them. When extreme chemical dependence takes root in a family, the structure slowly erodes. Money that should pay bills disappears. Tempers spike without warning. Promises get made and broken in the same week. Kids start learning adult stress before they even understand what stability feels like. And this was the environment White Grape was living in when his mind was most impressionable. Instead of getting love and support, he got chaos and instability, and he had to learn to survive on his own and rely on himself, because the only person he could rely on was himself. And when a child grows up around that kind of instability, it rewires normal. Normal becomes strange men coming in and out of the house at all times of the day, mom and dad always fighting and sneaking new partners into the house, raised voices all night long making it hard to sleep. Every night creates a new form of chaos, and over time chaos becomes the norm and stability starts feeling uncomfortable. It forces you to learn to read the room before speaking. And it gives you an understanding that if something goes wrong, it can go very wrong, and that violence is a real thing, not just something you see in the movies. That kind of environment builds hyper-awareness, it builds fast reactions, and it builds pride and armor because you have to be tough in order to adapt. The weak do not survive, so it makes you hard and full of resentment. Now combine that with a neighborhood where the drug trade is visible, weapons are common, gangs run the blocks, and street reputation carries weight with how the community values you. Instead of looking up to Tom Brady, you look up to one of the generals in the local set that runs the block. Now take all of that pressure and put it in a parking lot on North Merton Street. September 15th. 3 young men drive in from West Memphis. They aren't there by accident. They came to buy illegal substances. The meetup is arranged. Location set. It's an apartment complex in Binghamton. The kind of lot where deals happen fast and nobody lingers. They pull in, engine running, windows partially down. Kenneth Givens, known on the streets as White Grape, approaches the vehicle. At the time, he had loose ties to the Choppa movement in Memphis, a circle associated with Pooh Shiesty. He wasn't the artist. He wasn't the public face. But he was around that circle, and in Memphis, proximity carries weight. There had already been tension around his name. Street talk suggested he had previously been robbed and that his blick had been taken in an earlier situation. According to the streets, Pooh Shiesty lost all respect for him and dropped him from the set. That moment damaged his reputation. Whether that played a role that night is debated, but it became part of the narrative surrounding what happened next. The deal begins. Money is handed through the window. Givens looks at it, then allegedly throws it back into the vehicle. Witnesses later told police the cash appeared to be counterfeit. At that point, the situation could have ended. The car could have pulled off. Words could have been exchanged, and that would have been it. Instead, White Grape whips out a choppa and starts dumping directly into the vehicle as it begins to move. Not into the air, not into the ground, into the car. 3 people are inside and he's spraying at all of them. One of them is Antoine Sims. He is struck in the back of the head. Another passenger is hit and survives. The driver hits the gas and rushes them to Le Bonheur Hospital. 2 days later, Antoine Sims is pronounced dead. White Grape was arrested and put in jail not long after, and whatever the trigger was in that moment that caused him to make such a bad decision, whether it be anger over fake money, pride, pressure, or escalation layered from previous street tensions, the outcome didn't change. One young man lost his life. Another, 19 years old, would soon be facing first-degree murder charges. The next section we are going to be covering are white gang members crashing out on camera. At number 5, as the world continues to change, white bloods and Crips are becoming increasingly common, especially in places like California. In this next video, we look at the newest white goon to officially join a black street gang. In this next clip, you're going to see a neighborhood white Crip crash out on some bloods and wave around a strap, all while recording himself for the police on Instagram Live.
Inglewood Families, I said neighborhood. Over here, man. Where y'all at?
Instead of going to college, getting a job, or doing something productive with his life, this middle-aged man decided he wanted to be a goon, so now he's posted up on the block waving around his strap and acting like a 15-year-old living in Chicago.
Don't hang out because on horizontal.
He then goes on to complain how the other Crips aren't hanging out with him as much, and the lack of Crips wanting to hang out with him seems to be a big issue in his life, and he constantly brings it up throughout the live stream.
Don't hang out because on horizontal. Solo dolo. 10-4 we go though. Let's go up in this bit. Neighborhood.
It might be time for this man to read a dictionary and learn some new vocabulary. Can someone count how many times he says on hood or neighborhood throughout the video? This man lives and breeds the Crips, and his feelings are really hurt that nobody wants to hang out with him.
You know? Tell blood, I said blood, you know? Tell blood. Slide back with a passion, you know? Hey, bud, I'm out here. I ain't even trying to buy nothing. I'm just out here cutting bush. I don't hood, you nigga fuck with me. I don't hood. Tell him Young Dirt can't throw, cuz, you know?
After saying on hood what felt like 1,000,000 times, this middle-aged goon then decides to whip out his blick and show it off for the 10 followers watching him on live. What would you guys do if your daughter brought home this scholar?
I don't hood. Let's go up in neighborhood. I don't hood, you know? Neighborhood.
Not long after this video, this gentleman, who was being investigated by the FBI for narcotics trafficking and had a warrant out for his arrest, was arrested, and this video was later used in court as evidence as to why he is a danger to society and why he needs to be imprisoned for as long as possible. At number 4, in this next video, we go to a suburban trap house full of suburban bloods running around with red flags and crashing out on camera.
Just rocking a red bandana, my nigga. This is deep fried blood game.
This is when the suburban goon lets everyone know exactly what suburban set of the bloods he is affiliated with.
This is deep fried blood game. This is deep fried blood game.
From the burbs to the hood, rep your set young blood.
This is deep fried blood game. Deep fried blood game, my nigga.
This guy drops N-bombs like a bunch of high schoolers playing Call of Duty after their black buddy leaves the room.
So only pull up if
Here is when the crash out starts and the white blood starts calling out all the other local suburban gangs in his neighborhood and tells them to pull up and that he wants all the smoke. A Chad who was hanging out in the background and lacking knew this was going to be a bad situation, so the Chad pulls his buddy aside and ends the live. At number 3, a pasty suburban goon out in the streets. Suburban thugging and claiming to be a blood gets checked by a real blood member, and this is what happens.
Who you rep?
CCV and GDK.
Yeah, let them know.
What you mean?
Yeah, what you is?
I'm blood.
You blood to the core?
Yeah.
Word? Who's
Yeah.
your big homie?
Nolly.
Nolly, where he from?
He from Newburgh.
Word. So what you repping?
CCV and GDK.
Throw it up. Drop the rakes.
Can someone explain why, when bro said drop the rakes, he started pulling down his sweatpants as if he was getting ready to whip out his diddler?
Drop the rakes.
Fans have wondered if this is what you have to do in order to become an officially sanctioned Suburban Blood. Before the interaction turned into a Diddy situation, the real Blood asked the Suburban Goon to drop something else other than his pants.
Alright, drop something else. Throw something up. Alright, gang. Alright, bro. Be easy. Alright, blood, big blood.
And there you guys go. That is Big Bird, one of the most highly respected Suburban Bloods who somehow made it out. The deadly suburban hood called Newburgh. According to legend, you can still find this legendary Suburban Blood posted up at the mall buying flat brim hats at Lids, or you can find him at your local Diddy party dropping the rakes.
Drop the rakes.
And while Big Bird, the Suburban Blood, might come off as a nice guy, don't get it twisted, bro. Is rumored to be involved with countless suburban bodies that have been dropped over the years. At number 2, this next incident takes place in a vicious suburban hood where strapped-up suburban goons are posted up all throughout the area.
Alright, so we're just driving right now and I honked the horn at these kids and they got super butthurt. We're gonna do it again. Nice hair. Pull over, you want me to pull over? Will you pay my parking pass if I pull over?
When a young man driving through a deadly suburban hood accidentally runs into a high-ranking suburban gang member with a bird's nest on his head, things quickly go left and almost end in tragedy.
Okay, why do people get so mad at the smallest things? Like, I honked at them and they're like, shut your ass up. Yeah, I just said I liked her hair.
This man unfortunately has no idea who he's playing with. That young stepper with the long hair is Chief Bird's Nest, who was a general in the East Coast suburban Crips. Over the years, he's been terrorizing the burbs and is rumored to be involved in the hit that created the Chad Pack that all the suburban Crips are puffing on. If you're going to try to drive through this suburban hood, like it or not, you're going to have to check in with General Bird's Nest. Nothing ever gets past him. As General Bird's Nest flashes a Crip sign, things are about to escalate and take a potentially deadly turn.
Nah, bro, we don't do none of that around here, bro.
Yeah, we're trying to find this guy named Roderick. He's a homeless guy. We're trying to take him out to lunch.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
We don't do none of that.
Unfortunately, the young man was unaware of General Bird's Nest's strict rule that nobody is allowed to help the homeless in his suburban hood.
What's up?
You came up to us.
Pull over. You was talking shit. What's up,
I'm at a red light.
What's up, dude?
Are you serious?
Don't get scared, nigga.
Why would I be scared of you?
You slapped on your YouTube channel.
Assault charge.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Assault charge me.
I will.
Hey, please leave me alone.
What is that though? Is that lean or what?
Nah, it's not lean.
Okay. Bro, they really pulled a gun out, dude. Are you kidding me? Wait. A gun out of his fanny pack.
The law-abiding citizen luckily made it out the situation with his life. But this is another prime example of why you can never lack when driving through suburban hoods. According to legend, General Bird's Nest was hiding another 2 choppers and a blicky with a switch in his hair. So one wrong move and this young man would have ended up a pack in the back of his Swisher, just like the Chad Pack he was rumored to be responsible for. At number 1, we look at a crazy video where a strapped-up suburban dealer robs his customer.
What you want? Is this 200?
Yeah.
Alright, merch. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna have to get out of my car.
Okay.
And I have no tree, and you're not getting shit, and you're not saying shit to nobody, and if you do, it's that.
Alright.
Alright, so get out of my car.
This was an absolutely terrible business decision made by the suburban trapper. If Buddy's gonna spend $200 for an O, imagine how much you could have made off him over the years. But now, because of what you did, that cash cow is gone. Before this kid ever gets in the car, you can tell he senses something is off. And that is why you should always go with your gut instinct.
This 200?
Yeah.
All right, merch. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna have to get out of my car.
Okay.
And I have no tree.
Look at poor Oliver's face when he finds out he's about to get robbed. Bro should have trusted his gut and never got inside that car. But the real clown in the situation goes to the dealer who just fumbled the bag. In this next section, we look at the deadliest white Crips. At number 5.
This the big homie, the legendary, the infamous Snow Rock from up out of San Diego, neighborhood 40s, man.
The story of Snow Rock begins in the heart of southeast San Diego, a region traditionally defined by military presence and tourist appeal, yet internally marked by the gritty street politics. Born as Joey, he grew up on C Street between 30th and 40th, navigating an environment where his family was one of the only white households in a predominantly black and brown community. This geographic placement provided his earliest exposure to the Crip culture that would eventually define his life. The set he eventually joined, the Rolling 40s Neighborhood Crips, was not a local invention, but a direct export from Los Angeles. In the early 1970s, an original Harlem Crip named Donnie Ramsey migrated from LA to San Diego, bringing the Neighborhood Crip blueprint with him. Ramsey established the set with a small core of 5 or 6 individuals, centered around the 40th and 47th Street main lines. Growing up alongside key figures like Baby Bull Capone and the twins Joey and David, Snow Rock eventually earned his place as a rare white member of the organization, taking on the responsibility of patrolling the turf and enforcing the set's colors against any rival presence. During his prime gangbanging years, he got caught a couple times by police with straps in his car, and that got him sent to prison, which led to unprecedented challenges within the California penal system. Upon entering high-security level 4 yards, such as Lancaster, Snow Rock faced a lethal dilemma. Prison politics demand racial segregation, yet he refused to align with white supremacist factions.
You're not going to be in a cell with me. You are my mortal enemies right now. You guys are trying to kill me. I've been stabbed. I've been, I've been, let's say this. White Crips did not have fun in prison.
This defiance resulted in him being branded a race traitor by white inmates and viewed with open contempt by certain prison staff members who upheld the traditional racial order. He lived under the constant threat of assassination, often forced to carry burners or shanks provided by his fellow Crips to survive inevitable confrontations with groups like the Nazi lowriders. Throughout decades of incarceration, Snow Rock's reputation grew into a street legend. He was frequently compared to Bigfoot, a figure everyone had heard of but few had actually seen because he was kept in high-security confinement for the majority of his adult life. Internal friction even existed within his own set, as some older members struggled with the unwanted attention a white Crip brought to the neighborhood. However, his willingness to engage in physical combat and his refusal to tap out or switch affiliations eventually solidified his status. Nowadays, when Snow Rock reflects on his journey from the streets of San Diego to the state's most violent prison yards, the man once known as a young crash out now views his past with a sense of hard-earned clarity. He describes his current life out of custody as his best, emphasizing that the name and reputation he once coveted came at a cost he would not pay a second time. He has now put his past behind him and he is living a positive lifestyle, and he is focusing on trying to become a YouTuber. At number 4, this next white Crip named Max Mason might look more like a frat boy than a drill rapper, but believe it or not, he was an official Crip with a lot of respect in the streets. He was born and raised in San Mateo and grew up dirt poor with both of his parents battling substance-related issues. Throughout his childhood, he was always fighting and getting into trouble, and by the time he reached high school, he was already an official member of the San Mateo Shoreview Crips, a Samoan set known for standing on business and drilling on their rivals.
Yeah, Shoreview to be exact. We on the east side of the freeway. Got a little something going on, but it's a little tight-knit community, you know what I mean?
Over the years, Max builds up a legendary reputation in the streets as a white boy who's really about that life, and his name rings bells and is buzzing in hoods all across California. He becomes a joint in the streets and a trophy for his set, and because of that, California legends Lake Draco, the ruler, end up jumping on songs with him despite the fact he is a low-level rapper. He builds up a reputation as a jackboy, and for a period of time Max is robbing everything in sight and hitting giant licks worth tens of thousands. Eventually, all the bad decisions Max was making catch up to him, and he gets sentenced to 4 years in prison. After spending all his money on lawyer fees fighting his case by the time Max gets out, he is completely broke, so he has to come up with a new plan to make money. He gets plugged in with the scariest man in all of California, whose street name was Ten Shada. This man is a known stepper with multiple bodies under his belt that's being investigated by every police department across California. These two start hanging out every day, and they get away with some crazy licks they hit together that were covered all over the news. Max is unaware of the fact that Ten Shada is the backdoor king of Cali, and Max looks at him as one of his best friends. In January of 2023, the two buddies meet up in Max's basement, drink together, and come up with the next lick they are going to hit. Ten Shada has the codes to his uncle's warehouse, where there is over $65,000 worth of valuables. The next day, they successfully hit the lick together and split up the cash evenly. But the next morning, when Ten Shada's uncle checks the cameras, it becomes painfully obvious that whoever hit this lick was someone close to him, and it doesn't take him long to realize that Ten Shada was involved. When confronted by his uncle, instead of taking accountability for his actions, he makes up a story and blames it all on Max. Max, who is completely unaware of what is going on, finally decides to grow up, and he uses that money on studio time to advance his career. Ten Shada and Max continue hanging out every day, and Max has no idea that his best buddy is plotting on him. On January 23rd of 2023, Max finds out that his girlfriend is pregnant, and the first person he tells is Ten Shada, and they make plans to meet up the next morning so they can go search for cribs for the unborn child. The next morning, while Max is in his white Chevy waiting for his buddy and scrolling through his phone, Ten Shada pulls up and starts dumping, and Max tragically loses his life. All of California was really saddened by what happened, and while Max was far from perfect, he had made a lot of friends and impacted a lot of lives. You can see the kind of impact he had through Reddit posts where commenters explain how he was funny, smart, personable, and the kind of guy that would light up every room he walked into. Nobody was as mad as the Shoreline Crips, who were disgusted by what had happened to their fallen brother. Only a month later, they got the drop on Ten Shada and pulled up and blicked him down in the name of revenge for their fallen homie. At number 3, we look at a high-ranking Caucasian Crip named Vince from Aurora, Colorado, standing on business and asking a blood who tried checking him for a fade.
I'm gonna keep it G real. I don't you cause you disrespecting me. You disrespect my hood by telling me take off my flag, asking how gangster I was.
A couple days prior, the blood had rolled up on Vince, disrespected him, and told him to drop his flag.
You lucky on that day I was acting cool, cuz I told you I ain't got time for that. But
at the time, the white boy was busy, but right now he has all the time, and he wants that smoke and is ready to throw hands and scrap it out like men.
Today I got time, cuz.
After calling out the blood, Vince starts walking away, but continues barking at the blood and calling for a fade.
It don't matter, pistol gang. Right. Right.
But for Vince, after getting his courage up, he turns back around and starts pressing the issue again.
Right. You got your cousin right there?
But nigga, you came up on me on some fun. I don't make peace when I come up on me on some disrespectful shit when I didn't even know you. You walked up on me and set down your beer like, what's up, how gangster are you, cuz? How gangster are you?
In the background, you can see his buddy anxiously holding a pie of pizza that is starting to get cold, while he waits for these fools to stop bickering so they can all feast on some crispy pepperoni slices while it's still warm.
I'll show you how gangster I am. You can drop off your kid and run my fade.
The big bad Caucasian goon calls out the blood once again for a fade, and the blood continues tucking his tail and refuses to throw hands.
My fade.
You ain't hearing it.
Exactly. Exactly.
After checking the blood, Vince walks away with his chest held high like a G.
Exactly. I go hard, cuz you don't want to with me.
That's all I can say.
Unfortunately, we never got to find out what happened to that legendary pie of pizza and whether, or not, they got to feast. Unlike a lot of the suburban goons we cover on this channel, Vince was actually from the hood, had grown up in poverty and joined a gang because that was what everyone else in his neighborhood was doing, and he became a product of his environment. Tragically, at only 22 years old, he was blicked down outside of a store.
This is not fair.
Over the past 6 years, before his tragic death, he was homeless and couch surfing at his buddies' houses. He had lived an extremely rough life. His mom had severe substance abuse issues and his father wasn't around, which is why he turned to the streets for that family structure and love young men so desperately crave.
I was an alcoholic.
Linnea lives in a motel in Aurora.
after years of homelessness too.
I mean, I got sober so that I could be better for him. There was a shooting at 2:30 a.m. and my son's body was found at 10 a.m.
When it comes to the streets, this is a side that the media doesn't show, and a sad reality that thousands of families are dealing with. As people become more and more obsessed with their phones, they start to lack empathy. And in a disgusting display of human behavior, thousands of people, much more focused on their phones and social media, drive past Vince as he fights for his life and eventually passes away on the side of the road. It took literally almost 8 hours until one decent human being decided to call the police and inform them about what happened.
So he laid there for almost 8 hours with people driving by. Worst feeling ever, not knowing if he laid there, if the cops could have saved him, if somebody had called.
Unlike a lot of moms in this situation, Vince's mom made no excuses for his shortcomings and fully acknowledged the behaviors her son was engaging in that put him at risk of something like this happening.
I would never say my son was an angel or a saint. Never. It's not okay, and it's definitely not okay to leave somebody dying on the street.
Police investigating this crime have no leads because everyone is refusing to talk.
And they don't want to talk. This was his bed where he would sleep, and it was always made up for him. It still is. It lived in a house with a white picket fence. It would be different. I just want to know who did this and why.
And this is the sad reality of gangbanging. And while the media loves to promote it, the truth is it is destroying communities. And more people need to try and make it look goofy instead of cool. If you grew up in the streets and have deep family gang ties, I can sympathize with you and understand why you might want to join a gang for protection. But if you grew up in the suburbs to a good family, and then fall in love with drill music and gang culture because you think it's cool after listening to King Von and watching podcasts like No Jumper, and despite being a Caucasian goober, you end up somehow actually joining a real gang, then you deserve to be laughed at and clowned because you're not from that life, and it shows. At number 2, we look at a legendary white Crip from the rolling 60s Crips that goes by the street name Danger. Instead of going to work, the young man loves nothing more than to sit around in his car all day throwing up gang signs. And when he is not brushing his hair or throwing up gang signs, you'll catch him recording his buddies throwing up gang signs so he can prove to the world he really is a white rolling 60s Crip. Check out the young stepper in his element, hanging out in the hood, drinking Red Bulls and throwing up C's.
I'm from Hood. Yeah, I'm Hood.
How long do you guys think he had to practice in the mirror in order to learn how to do a behind-the-back C that was very impressive? His hands have a mind of their own after years of sitting in the back seat of cars all day and throwing up gang signs. His hands are on autopilot, and if you ever are blessed enough to have this legendary Crip in the back seat of your car, expect a whole lot of gang signs. It's like speaking sign language. Life as a white Crip with long hair can be very exciting, and here the young man records himself with all the homies at his local gas station. A couple of his boys really want some powdered donuts, and they start flashing them in front of the camera, with the hopes the white Crip will buy a couple packs so they can all feast. When the white Crip isn't running to the store buying donuts for the homies or sitting around in his car for hours on end, practicing gang signs, he is known to crash out while recording himself on Instagram Live. In order to prove to all the other white goons that he really is who he says he is, he posts a video of what he believes is an undercover cop lurking outside of his house. In the video, you can see a car lurking in the background and a tree with 60s spray painted across it, which, if you're trying to stay low-key and off the radar of police, spray painting the name of your gang on a tree right outside your house where police are investigating probably isn't the best idea. Eventually he gets arrested for an unknown reason, and then right afterwards he goes straight to the internet to show off his new mugshots. He then goes straight to the internet to start flexing and showing off his paperwork. For regular people, an arrest is traumatizing, embarrassing, and something you desperately want to forget. But for a young Caucasian goon, getting arrested is a badge of honor and a way to show off for all the other white boys living in the burbs. The long-haired Crip then gets placed on house arrest and starts showing off his ankle monitor as if that's somehow a flex. For whatever reason, this white boy wants nothing more in life than to prove to his followers on YouTube and Instagram that he really is a Crip, and he starts recording every interaction he has with the gang. While FaceTiming with high-ranking members, the white boy starts sneakily recording them and then posting the videos to his YouTube channel. In the middle of the live, One of his boys starts showing off his crossbow that he used when he caught a white-tailed deer lacking the other weekend. The white boy records so much it's like he is filming a documentary. The man never misses an opportunity to record members in his gang. Here you can see our favorite long-haired white Crip and another young white stepper with a peanut head posted up in a trap house in the hood. Let me know if we should go more in depth and cover the peanut demon in another video. The white stepper is a generous young man and decides to buy a bunch of bottles for the squad so they can all turn up and enjoy a night out. And then in true white boy fashion, he has to record and show off that he is the only white boy at a barbecue in the hood. For white goons, this is the ultimate badge of honor and something they spend years working towards. The white boy is so fixated on proving that he is really a Crip that he can't just enjoy a drink with the homie on the porch. Instead, he has to sneakily record him and then upload the video to his Instagram later in the day. Shortly after, the young scholar goes on his Instagram and preaches some of the most inspiring statements in the last decade.
Hey man, I'm on the back of the hood with hood, on 60 Crip, on rolling gang, on rolling 60. Hey, bring the mamas out on hood. Any of the mamas looking for a baby daddy on hood, roll it out on hood.
At number 1. Welcome to Watts, California. This is an extremely dangerous area where every single block represents a different community, and with every community comes a different set of rules. You aren't just looking at streets here, you're looking at boundary lines. Cross the wrong line or wear the wrong hat and you will face severe consequences. In the infamous Jordan Downs projects located between 97th Street and 103rd Street, you have the Grape Street Crips. These guys are the bullies of the area. They control the massive Jordan Downs housing projects, which gives them a lot of power, and they rule those 30 acres like a kingdom. They've got a lot of active members and a lot of enemies because of all the pain and destruction they are responsible for. A few blocks over, you've got the Holmes Street Watts Crips. They own the corridor between 103rd and 108th Street and are centered around Holmes Avenue. They're smaller than Grape Street, but just as serious about their territory. It's a narrow strip, and their reputation for guarding it is legendary. They run the area with an iron fist and use their new members as soldiers to watch the block and to handle any potential threats. Across Central Avenue, you've got Nickerson Gardens. That's bounty hunter blood territory. They're sworn enemies with the Crips in the area to the south. You've got Imperial Courts, run by the P.J. Watts Crips, and these borders are fixed in stone. If you cross the wrong border with the wrong affiliations, then you will find yourself 6 feet under the ground.
Good morning, guys, and we're hearing from neighbors leaving their home and people entering into their place of work, shocked to hear what happened just behind me, where you see some water on the sidewalk. What they are confirming at this time is that 2 people were killed here. You could see a tow truck operating here, pulling a silver Chevy Zip car from the scene. Police confirming that shortly after 1 o'clock this morning, they tried to save both men, but the 2 died from their injuries. We're also told a firearm was recovered on scene. Now, listening to recorded police radio traffic, that Zip car that you saw in the video there was mentioned in connection with the scene. There's also information shared to responding officers that someone heard yelling. Police, though, they said they are not looking for any other suspects at this time.
Now let's talk about Billy Mobius, who back then was the only white boy in the area, and because of that, he had to go twice as hard if he wanted to make a name for himself or get any respect. He grew up in the center of the Holmes Street Watts Crips territory. And if you saw him back then, you'd see a white boy in a neighborhood where that usually made you a target. But Billy wasn't a visitor, and he wasn't a guest. He grew up in poverty and went to the same high schools like everyone else in Watts. He was raised by the block, and he didn't just hang out with the Holmes Street Watts Crips, but instead, he got jumped in the set and was an officially sanctioned member. Over time, because he was always down to slide and do whatever was necessary for the gang, he earned the nickname Lunatic Billy. They didn't give him the name Lunatic for nothing. In a place like Watts, you don't get respect handed to you, especially when you look like an outsider. Billy had to be twice as fearless and go twice as hard just to show he was solid. He held down that residential corridor along Holmes Avenue between 92nd and 108th, and he did it with a level of loyalty that made him a lunatic. According to legend, he took a lot of penitentiary chances to earn that nickname. While Billy was making a name for himself on Holmes Street, a few blocks over, another power was rising. That was Melvin Farmer, better known as Big Evil. He didn't just lead the Grape Street Watts Crips. He ruled the Jordan Downs housing projects. He held those 50 acres with a grip so tight that the feds spent years trying to map his reach. He was a strategist, a leader, and the absolute law of the land. He was a kingpin and the shot caller for the Grape Street Crips, and because of that, he had a lot of power and was treated like a king. Usually, street politics say you stay in your set. You kick it with your homies and leave it at that. But real recognize real. Despite the different flags, Billy and Big Evil formed a bond that blurred the lines. They weren't just associates, they were tight. They were the kind of buddies who actually looked out for each other. In the heat of the 90s drug wars, when things were at their craziest, you had this legendary white Crip from Home Street and the King of Jordan Downs working as a unit. They were in the trenches. They were trapping together, side by side. In a world where someone breaking your trust was a death sentence, they somehow were able to find it in each other. The operation got so big to the point they were making hundreds of thousands of dollars weekly, and to nobody's surprise, this ended up getting the attention of the FBI. When you're moving that much weight and holding that much power, you aren't just a street legend anymore, you're a target. By the mid-90s, the FBI had seen enough. They weren't coming for a single corner or a single trap house. They were coming for the whole structure. They rolled in with the RICO Act, a legal hammer designed to break the strongest bonds. Since he was the only white boy in the mix, the feds thought that Billy was the weakest link, so they applied a bunch of pressure on him with the hopes that he would break and rat out his friend. When the handcuffs clicked, the pressure shifted from the streets to the interrogation room. The feds knew the connection. They knew the bond. They put the squeeze on Billy, looking for the one thing that could bury Big Evil for good, a witness. They offered him the world, a way out, a clean slate, a chance to walk. All he had to do was open his mouth and tell them what they already knew. But Billy never bit the cheese. He wasn't built like that. He was a home street Crip to the core, and he lived by a street code. He sat in that room and kept his mouth shut, refusing to give them a single word about his buddy. Because he wouldn't tell, the feds threw the book at him, and Billy took a 10-year prison sentence straight to the chin. A decade of his life gone just to protect his reputation and honor in the streets. Some people respect him, taking all those years to the chin, while others call it foolish. But what you cannot deny is that lunatic Billy really stood by the codes of the lifestyle he signed up for. In this next section, we look at the deadliest white bloods. At number 5, this next white blood named Dawson has been terrorizing the suburbs for years, and his family, who felt they had nowhere to turn, decided to bring him on national television so the world can scrutinize his reckless behavior.
Our lives are being turned upside down by our 15-year-old son, Dawson.
Dawson has gone from a preppy-style child, wearing boots, shoes, preppy clothes, and now he's trying to be gangster.
After this Jelly Belly demon became an official member in a BPS blood set, his life started to spiral out of control.
Dawson is dangerous, and he's completely out of control. Soon after we moved, Dawson started hanging around with, to say the least, the wrong crowd. If you ask me, it's a bunch of thugs.
This gummy bear demon fell in love with the gang-banging lifestyle, and after kicking it with gang members all day, he started to treat his mom as if she was one of the hood chicks representing the set.
Dawson will get an attitude and call me his bra, and I'm his mother. He started getting into trouble.
Next thing I knew, the police were at our front door bringing Dawson home.
And with guns and drugs.
I was furious.
Now Dawson's been running away. Just a few weeks ago, Dawson disappeared.
Instead of going to the candy store to get more gummy bears, the Jelly Belly demon has been going to the trap to get more blickies with switches.
The local news even ran stories to be on the lookout for him.
Berkeley County deputies need your help to find a 15-year-old runaway. The sheriff's office says Dawson was last seen Monday morning.
After 6 days, the police did find Dawson.
Dawson refused to come back home with us. Dawson said he wanted to stay with his dad's sister, his Aunt Abby.
He was at my sister's house for 4 days, and he took her van and took off.
Being the ladies' man that the gummy bear demon is, as soon as he got his hands on a whip, he went straight to pick up a girl he was messing around with.
He picked up a girlfriend. The biggest fear is he's going to end up in jail or end up dead.
Instead of sending him to therapy or a treatment center so he can get the help he needs, his parents thought the best course of action was to bring him on Dr. Phil so he can make a spectacle of him and use this lost kid for views and entertainment.
Are you truly surprised? Did this just come out of the blue?
I'm very surprised. Dawson has always been, he's always been on the mischievous side, but it did seem like as soon as we moved, the legal stuff started happening. I had no idea he was interested in any criminal activity.
As soon as Dawson got put on the Bloods, he was no longer the friendly kid from the burbs. He had become the Jelly Belly Demon.
Because this was his life, right? I mean, he looks like a happy kid. He's hanging out. He's playing in the snow.
Unfortunately, the negative influence of drill music, which has destroyed countless lives in my community, has now made its way to the white community and is continuing its reign of terror and is now severely affecting our Caucasian brothers and sisters.
Fishing, turtles, big smile, puppies. This is what you want, right?
And then he enjoyed every bit of it. He was always social, ran around our neighborhood, played with all the children.
Then you guys moved.
That's when the streets started calling Dawson's name, and all of a sudden eating gummy bears all day and playing with turtles no longer seemed like a fun thing to do. In this next part of the interview, the gummy bear demon goes on a legendary self-snitching spree and gives up all the evidence needed to spend decades behind bars.
There's plenty of things that I've done that my parents don't know about. What people don't know is when I had the van, I actually got pulled over by the police, and the cop didn't do anything. He didn't call my aunt. He knew neither one of us had a license. When I'm carrying guns, I always have at least one, sometimes two.
This young man is like the gummy bear version of King Von. The gummy bear demon is always standing on business and ready for all the smoke.
A 9mm and a 380. The clip out, hand it to you. Then you can just have a spare clip in your back pocket. Slide the clip in and tell him to walk.
The Jelly Belly demon knows exactly what he signed up for, and he has no fear of jail or death.
I'm not really scared of getting locked up. I'm going now. I will lose my life. That's break in the back, and they do have a gun. You know they will shoot.
Look at the horror on his poor mom's face in this situation. You have to feel for her.
Okay, so you've robbed people of their guns.
Yes, sir.
Admitting to felonies that carry serious time probably is not the best idea if you want to stay free and avoid decades in prison.
And you've burglarized 5 or 6 houses?
Yes, sir.
And
What the are you thinking? He knew about the last house because he read text and woke me up and said, "County's on the way to pick you up."
This is some elite level self-snitching. I do not think I have ever seen someone try this hard to get the attention of police. This young man must really want to go to jail because he is doing his absolute best to end up there.
Last week when I read that message, that's when I found that. But 5 or 6 houses, people, you know what I think of thieves. You know it.
Stealing and victimizing law-abiding citizens that have nothing to do with the streets is by far one of the most degenerate things you can do. And even for low-lifes and gangbangers, this should not get you any cool points.
you're burglarizing houses. How long have you been doing this?
Most of it happened while I was on the run for the past week or two.
In order to maintain a steady supply of gummy bears, the gummy bear demon has been forced to rob houses so he can maintain his habit.
Okay, and so in these, what do you get out of these 5 or 6 houses that you burglarized?
Mostly guns.
For every law-abiding citizen that has recently lost a firearm that lives in this area, here is your suspect. You can find him at your local candy store stuffing his face with gummy bears.
Or just whatever's in the house.
How many guns did you steal?
4 or 5.
Dr. Phil is treating this like an actual interrogation and getting really specific with the line of questioning.
And this was all in the town where you live. And you didn't do this alone, you did it with others?
Yeah, the 2 kids that I were with just got, they just bonded out, but they just got booked on 2 burglary charges for a different house.
If he is willing to tell on his buddies on live TV with thousands watching for no reason other than the fact he likes to hear the sound of his voice and thinks what he did was cool. What do you think Dawson would do if an actual police officer started applying pressure? As soon as he gets offered a pack of gummy bears in exchange for information, you know bro is going to start singing like a bird.
Do you realize that you've just confessed to 5 or 6 home burglaries on videotape on national television, and you set the time frame and the location?
This is the moment the Jelly Belly demon realizes just how bad he messed up by smacking those big old lips.
And you can't get through to him. I've tried to point out the consequences. I've tried to give consequences. If he wants to go anywhere, I take him.
Do you ever pat him down to see if he's packing?
No. No, I haven't.
Check his bag. You check his backpack.
I check his backpack if he's...
To end this legendary episode, Dr. Phil decides to bring out a Latino gang member to talk some sense into the Jelly Belly demon.
be a gang member, it's cool, bro. I've been shot 4 times. By the time I was 25, I had 13 years incarcerated. I was first arrested at 9 years old.
Gangbanging and getting arrested at 9 years old is out of pocket. I'm going to have to call cap on this one.
But when I walked out of my house, it was nothing but homies. When I walked back in my house, my father was a homie when he was not in prison.
To end things off, the Latino gang member does make a valid point about some of the realities of gang banging and carrying a firearm.
What are you gonna do when somebody runs up on you and you got a strap? You're gonna pull the trigger.
The gummy bear demon then starts nodding his head. We all know bro gets busy with the blicky and has no problem catching a hat if you play with him.
But you can't give that life back, bro. I don't think you're a hard kid. You don't have a heart? You got a heart, bro. There's nothing cool about taking somebody's life. I promise you.
At number 4, we look at the newest blood to get officially sanctioned and put onto a black street gang, a chubby white boy from Utah who goes by the street name Lil Brazy. The Caucasian gummy bear demon wants to be black so bad, he started lying like Pinocchio and started claiming on podcasts that his dad was black.
He like white, or is it mixed race, or is it predominantly black?
Me and my dad black.
Oh, your dad black?
Yeah, so my whole
The
family.
Caucasian gummy bear demon then goes on to explain how not only his dad is black, but also his whole family is, which is literally not possible. Even if his dad was just a quarter black, he would have some African American features. And this chubby white boy is Caucasian. As they get, bro, is 100% vanilla wafer, a bag of milk. People on Reddit found an old photo that he posted back in the day with his family. And as you can tell, this man lies more than Pinocchio after his wife caught him cheating.
And my biological father.
Oh, so you have black?
Yeah.
Okay. I would
not have known that.
Can we get a 23andMe or something?
Yeah.
I would not have known that.
I was going to ask earlier which of your parents was black and which was white as a joke.
Unfortunately for Lil Brazy, a lot of us grew up watching him on TV, and it is very clear that both his mom and dad are fully Caucasian. But I guess if you're living in Utah, this might be the closest you'll get to being black, so maybe Buddy wasn't capping all the way. Despite being a bland bag of milk with no seasoning, the Jelly Belly demon sticks with the story that he is black and explains why he constantly drops the N-bomb in his music.
Most people don't know. I didn't even know that you're, part black, but there's a lot of criticism about your use of the N-word and things like that. How do you deal with that? What are your thoughts on that?
It is what it is. People be thinking what they want, you know what I mean? Like, you can't judge somebody off the cover. You know what I mean, off the cover of the book, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta know their inside story, you gotta know, like, what they've been through, who their family is, you know what I mean? Like, shit like that.
So you say it just because you are half black, so it feels true to you?
It's just like, everybody around me grew up saying it.
For every white boy out there that wants to be something they are not, you can now just make up that your dad is black, and people are just going to roll with it.
You never had any issues with anybody over saying it?
I have. I've done caught a couple fades behind that, but.
Really? But you still feel like that's kind of your responsibility to stand on it? That's one thing I like about Jin Lee, is that he ain't backing down. If anybody got a problem with it, he's like, all right.
Luckily for the Jelly Belly demon, this gimmick has been working out great for him, and he is now making thousands of dollars a week off the back of this ridiculous and made-up backstory.
We got Lil Brazy.
Sheesh. They done brought the trays with the bag.
Hey.
All that, they done brought us outside. We turned.
It's good.
I guarantee this man is making significantly more money than a majority of the people who are watching this video, and that should show us exactly where we are at as a society. We all know Bobby from King of the Hill. Definitely is not from the hood and definitely is not black. But just like with Tekashi 6ix9ine, these types of gimmicks work and can make you millions of dollars. As the Jelly Belly demon continues dissing rivals, eventually the beef catches up with him, and a group of real gang members press him, and he threatens to call his mom on them.
Done dissing?
You done dishing Norte though?
Yes, I never.
Are you done dishing Norte, nigga?
Yes, I don't you like that, bro. Please stop. Done this. I was not talking. Bro, God, what is this, bro? I thought I was coming to kick it. Bro, I thought we was cool, nigga. Not come here for this. Hey, let me call my mom's.
Unfortunately, Peggy won't be able to help you out of this situation. You're going to have to stand on everything you've been claiming over the past couple years. Mommy can't always come to the rescue.
Let me call my mom's, bro. I'm not.
I beef with all the Nortes.
Whoever cares about this kid needs to tell him to cut it out. While it might be funny watching Bobby from King of the Hill crash out and act a fool, the reality is, if he doesn't stop what he is doing, he is going to end up in a grave. If you're going to diss every single hood and claim that you're a sanctioned blood member, you can't keep threatening to call Peggy every time you find yourself in a situation.
I hope you crash.
At number 3, this next legendary individual who goes by the name LK grew up in the gritty streets of Detroit and became an officially sanctioned Rolling 20s neighborhood blood. Inside the culture of the Bloods, particularly the United Blood Nation, UBN, there is a secret collection of codes, history, and laws known as the LIT, and that is essentially their rule book. The conduct of members is governed by a list 31 rules, and the specific criteria for who can actually be brought home or knighted, which is their terminology for becoming an official member, is found in the section about membership oaths. Historically and traditionally, the LIT defines the organization as a brotherhood for the protection and advancement of the Black community. Because of this, many versions of the literature contain a lineage requirement, meaning that you have to be African American to join. This is rooted in the group's origins as a response to specific socio-economic conditions in Black neighborhoods. And this is why it is so rare for white boys to become official members.
I go by LK the Leprechaun, and I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Growing up in and around Detroit, it was fun, it was exciting, it was adventurous.
Because of the strict rules about discussing internal affairs, LK only talks about the positive aspects of his organization.
I think my section's reputation in Detroit and throughout the city is the same thing our section known for in LA. Turning up, partying, at the park, barbecuing, and doing the community events. That's what my section known for throughout the city, for real. The community events. We do back to school drives for the children, toys for tots, trunk or treats. You know, we always doing a community event.
While I appreciate the message of positivity, to be honest, the last place I am going to bring my kids is to a blood-hosted community event.
We always doing something. Catch us at the park, got the bounce houses going, cooking up the food, buying ice cream truck roll through. We you know, throwing, you know, $100, however much money we got to buy all the children ice cream. But that's what my section known for, putting on for the community. Unity in the community, baby.
At the end of his video, he goes in detail about the structure of Detroit, and he explains exactly how things work in the streets.
We really, in Detroit, we got like 4s and 5s. Like if you banging a 4, that means you're a Crip. If you banging a 5, that means you're a Blood. Legit, certifiable, you know, not worldwide. You know, Detroit got a little bit of everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, the beautiful. The suburbs is cool. The city is cooler. But then you'll hit the I-75 North and go up into them woods out by them lakes and into that forest. To me, that's the coolest.
At the very end, he explains his biggest regret, and it is guaranteed to surprise all of you.
Any regrets? Yes and no, no and yes. You know, the gang banging lifestyle, it'll take a toll on you, take a toll on your family, take a toll on your friend, it take a toll on your relationships, period. Whether it's yourself, your family, your friends. I try to live life with no regrets, as I think most of us do. I look at it like all the hardships, everything I've been through, the ups, the downs, the twists, the turns, it shaped and molded me into the man I am today.
This is pretty standard, but just wait until you hear about what hurts his soul and keeps him up at night.
One regret I do have is my cat. I had a cat, Princess. She passed away quite a few years ago now. Had her my whole life, 20-something years. And her last couple years of her life, I wasn't there for her like I should have. My cat, I had a cat, Princess. She passed away quite a few years ago now. Had her my whole life, 20-something years. And her last couple years of her life, I wasn't there for her like I should have been. So on a personal tip, that's a regret I have. I wish I would have been there for Princess.
This man did a masterclass on how you should discuss your organization, and I guarantee all the other members are proud of him. At number 2, for a white boy, anytime you decide to step off the porch and enter the streets, understand that you are going to stand out like a sore thumb and that you are putting your life in extreme risk. And unfortunately for Harrison Crystal, a 20-year-old born in California, he learned the hard way that the streets are not for everyone. And if you don't get out early, it's going to end one of two ways with you, either dead or in jail. Growing up, according to all reports, he grew up lower middle class. Not dirt poor, but definitely not living like the other white kids in his school. While some of them had brand name clothes, fresh sneakers every month, and parents who could fund whatever hobby they wanted, he was rocking clearance rack fits and making the same pair of shoes last all year. And kids notice that, especially in middle school and high school. At this stage of life, reputation is everything, and if you want to get the attention of girls, you have got to have the right look. And for Harrison Crystal, he wasn't willing to settle and be an average guy. He wanted to be the man and someone that stood out from the others. He didn't quite fit in with the suburban crowd. He looked like them, but he didn't live like them. When money becomes a quiet social ranking system, you can feel exactly where you stand. He wasn't invited to the same parties. He wasn't part of the same group chats. It wasn't always outright bullying. It was more subtle than that. Side comments, jokes that hit a little too hard, that invisible line that tells you you're cool enough to be around, but not cool enough to really belong, and that's where the shift happened. Because while one group made him feel like an outsider, another group didn't care how much money he had or what brand his jeans were. The black kids who were gang-affiliated that he was walking past on his walk home from school weren't concerned with how much money his parents had. They were checking if he was solid, if he showed up, if he stood on what he said. Around them, he felt seen, not judged for what he didn't have, valued for how he carried himself. And Harrison was definitely no punk if he ever felt someone was disrespecting him. He was always down to squabble up and throw hands like men. Acceptance is powerful, especially when you've been craving it. Over time, what started as hanging around turned into something deeper. The environment changed his mindset. The way he talked changed. The way he dressed changed. The way he saw the world changed. And when you finally feel like you belong somewhere, even if that place comes with risk, it's hard to walk away from it. It got to a point where he was skipping school and hanging out with the homies almost every day in the hood. He was playing dice with them, laughing at inside jokes, and helping them push product in his suburban neighborhood. It was as if he was one of the guys just without the red rag. There's a difference between being cool with a crew and being accountable to them. And eventually that conversation came. Everything changed for Harrison after an older respected member that recently got out of the pen pulled him aside, sat him down, and essentially told him, if you're going to be here, you can't just visit anymore. You've got to commit. For someone who spent years feeling like he didn't belong anywhere, that kind of offer doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like validation. It feels like finally being chosen. But don't think they took it easy on Harrison. He had to get jumped in just like everyone else. When people hear the term jumped in, it can sound like slang. In reality, it's a physical initiation ritual used by many street gangs to test commitment. The concept is simple, but harsh. Instead of earning membership through paperwork or ceremony, the person seeking entry is assaulted by multiple members of the set for a short, controlled period of time. The goal isn't random chaos, it's endurance. The individual is expected to take the blows without running or quitting. They're expected to keep fighting back no matter how bruised up or tired they are. It's framed internally as proving heart. Supporters of the practice argue it demonstrates toughness and loyalty. They want to train street soldiers that aren't scared of anything. Critics, including former members in law enforcement, describe it as a violent bonding ritual that conditions obedience and normalizes brutality from day one. Physically, it can leave bruises, swelling, cuts, and sometimes broken bones. Mentally, it serves another purpose. Once someone endures that level of pain to belong, they're psychologically less likely to walk away. There's pride attached to surviving it. There's also pressure, because everyone else around you went through the same thing. For him, the initiation wasn't symbolic. It was a line in the sand. Once it was over, there was no more hanging around. He had absorbed the pain. He had been recognized. And in that world, that recognition comes with expectation. You have to prove your worth and earn that flag by taking risks that could land you in prison for decades. Before we break down what happened to him after he joined, let's talk about the respected chapter of the Bloods he just got officially sanctioned into, the legendary and feared BPS Bloods. The BPS Bloods stands for Black P. Stones Bloods, a Los Angeles-based gang set that traces its roots back to the late 1960s. The original Black P. Stones began in Chicago as a black empowerment organization before evolving into a large and controversial street organization. Over time, a Los Angeles branch emerged, eventually aligning itself in an alliance with the Bloods in the early 1970s. In LA, the BPS Bloods became heavily associated with the Baldwin Village area, often referred to as the Jungles. Their rivalry with Crip-affiliated sets, particularly in South Los Angeles, played a major role in shaping decades of street conflict in the city. Law enforcement investigations throughout the 1980s, 1990s, and 2000s tied various factions of BPS to narcotics distribution, racketeering cases, and violent crimes, leading to federal indictments and long prison sentences for certain leaders and members. Whenever a body got dropped, they were always the first to get blamed. And according to the police in Los Angeles, Harrison had just joined the deadliest gang of them all.
The most severe gang in Los Angeles, the most violent gang. It's the Black P. Stone Bloods is a multi-generational turf gang that claims the area of Lower Baldwin Village as its turf. We have 1,000 active members in Los Angeles with 32,000 active nationwide. In 2007, the LAPD placed BPS on its top 10 most violent list in the city. Members of the Black P. Stones are responsible for murders, attempted murders, assaults, weapon possession, sales, shootings, street robberies, illegal drug sales, drinking in public, trespassing, and gang graffiti. The gang is also known for terrorizing the neighborhood, striking fear into local communities, businesses, and they maintain a code of silence to perpetuate their activity in this area. After getting officially sanctioned into the set, he was no longer Harrison Crystal, the misfit from the suburbs, but instead, he had gotten a street name and became Shaggy B, the official white boy in the hood. Unfortunately for him, he couldn't have joined at a worse time after a couple bodies got dropped from rival sets, and the streets were red hot, and everyone was sliding on all sides trying to get revenge. In Los Angeles gang politics, proximity fuels conflict. The closer you are to your rivals, the more likely you are to have destruction. The Black P. Stones Bloods, based in Baldwin Village, often called the Jungles, sit in the middle of territory historically controlled by multiple Crip sets. Because of that geography, rivalries weren't optional. They were built into the map. One of the most frequently documented conflicts has been with the Rolling 30s Harlem Crips. Their territory in Jefferson Park sits directly adjacent to areas historically associated with BPS. When neighborhoods border each other like that, tension becomes routine. Court testimony in various gang cases has referenced long-standing hostility between these groups, often using rivalry evidence to establish motive in shootings and retaliatory violence. In other words, these guys are always on go and ready to pull out a choppa and start dumping whenever they see a rival. The Rolling 40s neighborhood Crips are also commonly cited in law enforcement reports as rivals, due to overlapping West Los Angeles boundaries. Territorial lines along streets like Western Avenue and Vernon have historically marked invisible dividing lines that carry real consequences. Other nearby Crip sets, including Schoolyard Crips, Mansfield Gangster Crips, Playboys Gangster Crips, Marvin Gangsters, Marvin Crips, and Rolling 60s Neighborhood Crips, operate within surrounding South and West Los Angeles areas. While not every set experiences the same level of conflict at the same time, geography has historically placed these neighborhoods in tension. Friends and family have speculated whether or not Harrison knew what he was getting himself involved with when he decided to jump off the porch. For someone newly affiliated under the BPS name, this wasn't abstract. Rivalries aren't chosen individually, they're inherited.
When he became officially recognized, he also inherited every territorial dispute that came with that name. Conflicts that existed long before him and will likely outlast him.
Chain of events last night left 2 people dead and another seriously injured.
It started as a car-to-car shooting and then took an even more tragic turn.
The car-to-car shooting right here on Rodeo Road. The driver of a car was shot and killed, but not before he smashed into another car and then ran over a young man.
When you put in the kind of pain in the streets that these guys have, you're going to make a lot of enemies, and unfortunately, certain areas where they frequent have turned into war zones.
We just found out that this shooting has become a fatal shooting out here. This is going to be on Buckingham near the cross of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. You can see LAPD down there in force along with LA City Fire. Now that victim apparently had passed before the paramedics could get there on scene.
Because of the beef, these guys are always on point and known to press up on anything that comes around their hood.
What now? What's your name?
Yo, mask off. Everything off.
Yeah, blood, who is you, bro? You just been bickering right here for hours.
BPS members are run like a militant operation where everyone follows protocol and everyone has each other's backs.
Huh? Fake tape. Fake tape? Yeah. From where? From where though? Like what block are you banging? We don't know you, gang. We don't know you, gang.
For a minute, it felt like Shaggy B had won. Not just survived, won. The same kid who used to sit on the sidelines was suddenly in the middle of everything. Weekend after weekend, he was either posted up in the hood or out at house parties. All of a sudden, those same kids that didn't accept him started looking at him differently. Word spread fast. Shaggy B was a white boy repping one of the most respected hoods in Los Angeles. Girls who once barely knew he existed suddenly wanted to be around him. The mystery, the confidence, the edge. In suburban neighborhoods, danger gets romanticized. The stories get exaggerated, and the persona grows bigger than the reality. And the fact he carried a strap was more than enough for him to get suburban white girls in bed. During this time, he was also earning his reputation in the streets and always posted up with the homies.
Up and invite the homies, blood. Shaggy B and his blood. Blood. We in this back going brazy on blood.
On August 6, 2018, just after 8:30 p.m., the night unfolded in a way no one saw coming. Police were called to the 4800 block of West Rodeo Place near Rodeo Road and Crenshaw Boulevard, not far from Dorsey High School. What they arrived to was chaos. According to reports, it started as a car-to-car shooting. A light-colored sedan pulled up and opened fire. Inside the targeted vehicle was 20-year-old Harrison Crystal. He was shot behind the wheel. He never made it out. Paramedics pronounced him dead at the scene. In a matter of seconds, the young man's life was gone. Witnesses described hearing 3 shots. One woman said they had just come from the grocery store, planning to go home and cook dinner. Instead, someone drove by and started dumping. And just like that, South Los Angeles had another unsolved killing. Authorities had very little information. No solid suspect description. No surveillance video released. Just a vague description of a light-colored sedan speeding away into the night. Police later said it was clear the shooting was a gang-related hit.
Tonight, the search for the killer in a car-to-car shooting in Crenshaw last night that triggered a chain reaction crash. 2 young men were killed.
Tragic news. One victim apparently targeted. The other victim just happened to be nearby. 20-year-old Harrison Crystal, nicknamed Shaggy. Those who live in the area where he was killed told me he was considered one of them.
Man, it was sad, man, because he was a kid. You know, he was just a little kid, man, trying to live out his dreams. And we woke up, man, we still can't believe it, man.
Police say Crystal's car was headed eastbound on Rodeo Road last night when someone pulled alongside and started shooting. Crystal was fatally hit in the head and crashed into a parked car. That chain reaction also killed 22-year-old Leroyce McFarland.
At some point, the image stops being cool. The colors, the affiliations, the respect, the reputation. All of that fades when real life steps in. Because the truth about gangs isn't what gets posted online. It isn't the hand signs. It isn't the music. It isn't the tough talk. It's funerals. It's mothers identifying their sons. It's courtrooms. It's prison sentences that stretch longer than childhood. It's retaliation cycles that don't care who you are. You don't have to be deep in it. You don't have to be calling shots. Sometimes just being associated, just being around it, is enough. And for a kid who just wanted to fit in tragically, he had to learn the hard reality of gangs. At number 1. Before becoming an official member in one of the most respected sets in California, before the beefs that turned nice areas into war zones. There was once a young man named Aaron Dobson that was growing up in an area where he stood out like a sore thumb. He grew up in Pittsburg, California, which at the time was the worst environment imaginable. A town where the smog was so thick you could taste the metal, and the only thing harder than the steel they manufactured was the people who survived there. They call this area where he grew up the Bird. He was a white kid in an Italian-American family navigating a neighborhood that was rapidly becoming the front line of the crack era and the gang expansion of the 80s. In the 80s, Pittsburgh wasn't a suburb. It was a melting pot of crime. The steel mills were dying and the work was moving in. Everyone was trying to get their piece of the money from selling rock, a new product that was flooding the streets, and being the only white face on a block dominated by gangs and hustlers didn't come with a pass. It came with a tax. Growing up in the Bird, Aaron had to learn a different kind of math. He had to be twice as loud to be heard and 3 times as dangerous to be respected. He wasn't just navigating the streets, he was navigating a social minefield. To the outsiders, he was a target. To the locals, he was a question mark. He spent his youth in a constant state of proving it, proving he wouldn't fold under the pressure, proving he wouldn't run to the police, and proving that he would stand on business and was worthy of being a white guy from his area. It wasn't about acting black, it was about the code. In the Bird where Aaron was growing up, the lines weren't drawn by color as much as they were by gang affiliations. And for a white kid in the 10th Street corridor, he dealt with the outsider tag every single day. He was the one the police looked at twice thinking he was there to buy product. He was the one the neighborhood looked at with suspicion as if he were working with police. And because of this, he felt he had to prove himself in the streets. His dad was in jail and his mom had extreme substance-related issues, so he was left alone to essentially do whatever he felt like doing. El Pueblo wasn't just low-income housing. It functioned as a controlled zone. Drug activity, local politics, and street reputation were all concentrated there. The 10th Street corridor served as one of the main commercial strips. If you were trapping and getting money in Pittsburgh, especially during the time Aaron was coming up, you were likely operating somewhere in that orbit. This was before large-scale Blood and Crip expansion reshaped Northern California. In Pittsburgh, most narcotics trafficking moved through independent mob crews, neighborhood-based groups organized around family ties and local hierarchy rather than outside affiliations. Everyone was more focused on getting money instead of beefing. And if you were growing up in one of the low-income sections of the Bird and you wanted to fit in, you had to get involved with trapping. And that is exactly what Aaron did to build up his reputation in the neighborhood. Crews like the West Street Circles and the Third World Cliques maintained their own internal structure. There were shot callers, there were respected older figures, and young crash-outs, the ones actually moving product. Aaron entered that structure as an outsider. Being a white kid trapping on 10th meant additional scrutiny. He wasn't just dealing with law enforcement, he was being evaluated by the local crews who controlled territory and supply lines. He had to stay solid. That meant not folding during traffic stops, not talking during questioning, and not bringing extra attention to whoever he was plugged in with. And unfortunately for Aaron, because he was a white boy, it was really cutting into his profit margins. Aaron was paying what people around him openly referred to as a white boy tax. It wasn't written down anywhere. There were no formal rules. It just showed up in the numbers. His re-ups cost more. The front wasn't as friendly. The margins were thinner. Where someone else might clear a comfortable profit, he had to shave his cut just to stay in rotation. That extra percentage, sometimes subtle, sometimes blatant, was the price of operating as an outsider in a neighborhood economy that didn't automatically trust him. But at the same point, he was still making friends and learning all about how the streets operate, and over time that white boy tax had started getting smaller and smaller. But unfortunately for Aaron, who explained in interviews how everything suddenly came to an end when his mom, who had been to rehab and was sobering up, went through his stuff in his room and found a loaded strap and a bunch of scales and product hidden under his bed. Aaron Dobson was exported. His family shipped him 1,200 miles north to Tacoma, Washington, hoping the evergreen trees and the rain would wash the Pittsburgh Bird town grease off his hands. Aaron landed in Tacoma at the exact moment the game was changing. This wasn't the independent hustle of the East Bay. This was a colonization. High-ranking OGs from Elm Street and Compton were flying into SeaTac Airport and setting up shop in Washington, where the drug prices were higher and the competition was disorganized. By the time Aaron reached Tacoma, he wasn't new to the streets. He understood structure. He understood hierarchy. He understood that if you wanted position, you didn't wait for it. You proved yourself into it. But he wasn't looking to stay on the sidelines. He wanted to be a hood trophy. He wanted the girls. He wanted the power, and most importantly, he wanted the respect. And since he was from California, the homeland of gangs, the guys in the neighborhood looked up to him. He was a big fish in a small pond. Through flipping work in the streets, he was making a lot of money and connections, and eventually got plugged in with Elm Street Pi-Roo, a Compton-rooted set run like a military operation with established leadership and a clear chain of command. The turning point in his life came when he was officially put on to the Elm Street Pi-Roo Bloods. In street terms, being put on means that you got jumped in and you're now an officially sanctioned member that can rep the set. You represent it. And that means you're held accountable for how you present yourself. You cannot turn down any fades and you have to always be on point. There are expectations, and your name now carries the weight of the section behind you. These guys don't play around when it comes to repping their sets. It's an honor to be officially put on. Countless people have lost their lives to either the streets or a prison cell, fighting for the respect of their flag so they don't let just anyone join. For Aaron, that carried extra scrutiny. An officially sanctioned white member in a Compton-affiliated Pi-Roo section was rare. That meant every move would be watched, not just by rivals, but internally. He was about to stand out like a sore thumb and be the butt of a lot of jokes. To survive, he needed to put in work so he could make a name for himself. And that's what he started doing whenever it was time to go on a mission. He was always the first to raise his hand. And because of all the work he was putting in, he eventually earned himself a name in the streets. Aaron's name was starting to ring bells in the hood. He was a hot boy everywhere he went. Names in the street aren't just labels, they are rank. And on the east side of Tacoma, Aaron Dobson was earning a title that shouldn't have existed. They didn't just call him a soldier, they called him White Roo. To understand the weight of that name, you have to understand the culture. The Roo is short for Pi-Roo, a bloodline with deep generational roots and a trail of bodies in Compton. For a white kid from a California steel mill town to be officially put on to Elm Street Pi-Roo and given a street name was a historical anomaly. In rap, he went by the name AWAX, and in the streets, he went by the name White Roo. To understand why the name White Roo carried so much weight, you have to understand the monster he was fighting. While the Elm Street Pi-Roos were the big dogs and the invaders from the south, the Hilltop Crips had a home field advantage. They had turned the Hilltop District into a no-go zone for law enforcement and a death trap for rivals. This wasn't just a gang, it was a paramilitary drug empire that held an entire city in a blue-tinted stranglehold. Even though the set is full of crash-outs, these guys have always been major players in the underground narcotics world and are believed to be involved with the cartel. Here is a brief history of this infamous set so you can understand the landscape of Tacoma and understand the crazy world AWAX was entering. The history of the Hilltop Crips is written in lead in federal indictments. Their reign was marked by moments that fundamentally changed American law enforcement. When White Roo was entering the streets, these guys were completely terrorizing the city, and the last group on earth any sane person wanted to beef with. The 1989 Ash Street shootout was the most infamous night in Tacoma history. Over 15 Hilltop Crips engaged in a 10-minute prolonged battle against off-duty U.S. Army Rangers. Over 100 rounds were fired in a residential neighborhood, proving the set had more firepower and less fear than the military. The next horrific incident was the Mother's Day Massacre in 1990, which was a ruthless display of on-site violence where Hilltop soldiers opened fire on a crowd to target rival Bloods, leaving bystanders caught in the crossfire and the city in a state of emergency. Then you had the Operation Hilltop Bust in 1992. This was one of the largest federal drug sweeps in Washington history. The FBI and DEA moved in to dismantle a pipeline that was allegedly moving millions of dollars a month, leading to the arrest of top-tier Hilltop leadership. Then there was the execution of Bernard Houston, a cold-blooded body that served as the spark for the decades-long war between the Reds and the Blues. It established the Hilltop's dump-on-sight policy for any outsider claiming a set. Even today, they're still very active in the streets and causing terror on their community.
People are devastated. They marched from here on South 19th Street and MLK Way to a nearby park calling for an end to violence. Stop the violence! Stop the violence! Dozens marching in the street. The group Tacoma Ceasefire organizing tonight's march and calling on parents in the community to come together and get guns out of kids' hands.
How can we rally around not only this family, but every family that has lost somebody in these streets due to bloodshed and violence?
To this day, they are also still very involved with trapping.
15 people have now been arrested, including members of a violent Tacoma street gang, as part of a massive trafficking bust in Pierce County. The arrest follows an 18-month investigation in Pierce County that focused on criminal activities involving the Crips.
And is responsible for a number of violent crimes, including drive-by shootings and assaults. The FBI says in just the past 36 hours, law enforcement has issued and enacted 13 search warrants.
By 1994, Tacoma wasn't just active, it was a furnace. Shots didn't just ring out, they orchestrated the night. For 16-year-old Aaron Dobson, the clock was ticking. On the east side, they knew him as the young white boy hanging with Elm Street Piru. But hanging wasn't enough. In a Crip-dominated city, a white kid claiming a Compton set is a walking giant red target for the enemy. You don't get days off or benefit of the doubt. You stay strapped, you stay alert, or you get put in a casket. During this time, the set was going hard at Aaron. A lot of the older members didn't believe he belonged, and some of the older members even wanted to officially put him off the set. The pushback didn't come from rivals. It came from inside. When Aaron started claiming Elm Street, the younger members might have accepted it, but the older generation didn't. To them, this wasn't just about affiliation. It was about legacy. Elm Street wasn't a club you joined. It was bloodline, neighborhood history, years of prison politics, funerals, and loyalty built long before he ever showed up. And now, a white kid was wearing the same red. Some saw it as bold, others saw it as disrespect. The whispers weren't subtle. Behind closed doors, the gang was split in half, and the old members kept asking the same questions. Who vouched for him? Who put him on? And more importantly, was the set lowering its standards? But this was wartime and they needed all the help they could get, and some of the members were hesitant about pulling the trigger and officially putting him off. In interviews, he explains how around girls they started to clown him and punk him out, and while it might have been done in a joking and friendly way, they subtly made it clear that he had to put in some work if he wanted any respect. It got to a point where they started pressing up on him and asking when he was going to put in work at every affiliated party or event. The set was split right down the middle. On one side, you had the old heads. These were the guys who came up during the era where your name was built on getting active and putting in work. To them, he was an outsider, a white boy they felt hadn't put in the frontline time required to earn the flag he was flying. In their eyes, he was jumping the line. It was a generational Cold War. On one side, you had the old heads. These were the originals who migrated from the 400 and 500 blocks of Elm Street in Compton. To them, the literature was law. They came up in an era where your name was built on heritage, and the book said this was a black thing, period. To them, a white boy in a red rag was a violation of the rules. Many older versions of blood literature, also known as the Lit, explicitly state that the organization is for black Afro-American empowerment. This was rooted in the 1970s Black Power movement. Some charters specifically included clauses that forbid Caucasians from officially being put on the set. The source of their hesitation was written in the Lit, which is essentially the gang's version of a constitution or a military code of conduct. It is the primary source for all their rules and regulations. In many charters in their Lit, specifically the 6th or 7th article, the code defines a true blood strictly as a person of African descent. Some versions explicitly forbid Caucasians, also referred to as oppressors, from being put on or initiated into the set. To the OGs, allowing a white boy to learn his chin, the process of memorizing the code, felt like a betrayal of their heritage. They gossiped behind his back, waiting for the white boy to fail. They needed to know, could a white blood truly uphold the symbols? Could he recite the 5 points of the star, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and mean it? In California, Piru culture, the most important literature isn't written at all. It's oral tradition. An OG sits a youngster down and gives him the knowledge verbally. You are expected to remember it. If you have to write it down to remember it, you're seen as soft or a potential risk for leaving a paper trail for the police. This was the first wall Aaron hit with the old heads. They didn't trust a white kid to hold the script in his head without folding under pressure. In California, they run things a little differently and don't have a notebook like in the East Coast where they write their literature. Because the leaders were run by OGs behind bars in places like San Quentin or Pelican Bay, the written rules often came in the form of kites. These are tiny, tightly folded pieces of paper with microscopic handwriting containing orders on who to hit or updates to neighborhood rules. When Aaron was being brought home, the gang term for the prospecting pledging period, he was likely given a script, not a fancy binder, but a few pages of loose-leaf notebook paper. It was a cheat sheet containing the set's alphabet, how to write without using the letter C in an effort to disrespect rivals. The deceased homies, a list of fallen soldiers you had to know to show respect, and most importantly, what is referred to in the streets as the knowledge, which was the stuff you had to memorize. This was learning your chin. It was gritty, and it wasn't something you showed off. It was something you hid under your mattress or in a shoebox. If you couldn't recite the history of the 5 or the 31 rules when tested on the block, you didn't just lose your rag, you got a physical violation. Eventually enough was enough, and Aaron silenced his doubters by making a very poor decision. To silence the gossip and prove he wasn't just a white boy or a soft kid who just wanted to look cool, Aaron had to become a crash out, someone willing to slide on missions and drop bodies. By the summer of 1994, the talk on the East Side had reached a boiling point. Aaron had mastered the knowledge and memorized the script, but the old heads still wanted to see if he could bleed for the set. Respect is a loan, and the block was coming to collect. The mission was simple: slide. Cross the line into the hilltop. Court records and street archives paint a vivid picture of the night the White Roo went all the way. During a high-voltage, sight-on-sight encounter in the Hilltop District, the talking stopped and the bullets started flying. Aaron wasn't just a passenger. He was the guy with the strap dangling out the window dumping. In an attempt to secure a body for the set and solidify his status, he opened fire on a rival during a mission. When he got back to the set, they threw him a party, and he was a made man. He wasn't certain the victim had passed, but now other members could vouch that he was a real stepper that had put in the work the older members demanded. All of a sudden, he became the man in the hood. He was rolling up deep with certified members at every hood gathering, and he had gotten the attention of all the baddies on the block. The Tacoma PD moved in before the shell counts were even finished. The mission that was supposed to earn his permanent respect ended with his face against the pavement. The arrest was swift. At just 17 years old, Aaron was facing an attempted murder charge, a strike that threatened to bury him before his life even started. Because he was a documented member of a criminal enterprise, the state didn't see a kid, they saw a soldier who followed the 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. He had silenced the old heads. He had proven he could slide. He had officially been brought home, meaning he became a real member. But as the transport bus headed toward Walla Walla, Aaron Dobson was finding out that the red rag he fought so hard for wouldn't keep him warm in a Tier 6 cell. The White Roo was gone. The prisoner was all that remained. But he had earned a coveted position in the gang, and that was an honor being a white member, even if it was a low rank on the totem pole. Within the Piru community, rank is a way to recognize knowledge, responsibility, and standing. Every level represents commitment to the history, values, and traditions of the set. Advancement isn't automatic. It's earned through learning and proving oneself. The lowest rank in the Piru hierarchy is called online, also called the prospect stage. This is where a recruit is being evaluated and is not yet a full member. At this stage, the focus is on learning and understanding the foundation of the community. A recruit must learn their chin, which means memorizing the 31 rules and the history of the 5. This isn't just memorization, it's about knowing the history, values, and traditions that form the backbone of the community. The goal of Rank 1 is to prove readiness, showing that the recruit respects the culture, understands its teachings, and is prepared to take the next step toward full membership. It is the essential starting point in the hierarchy. Mental knowledge comes first before moving up. And you get extra points if you're a stepper willing to slide on missions and put up points for your team. The next rank on the hierarchy is Young Gangster, also known as YG. After a prospect officially completes their jump-in initiation, they earn this rank. At this stage, they are recognized as full members of the community. A young gangster has proven their commitment. They put in some work for the set, and they understand the rules, the history, and the traditions. Initially, Aaron was brought in as a YG, young gangster. Even at this entry-level rank, it was a monumental achievement for a white boy to be brought home. It meant the shot callers and the high end had officially backdoored the traditional rules found in Articles 6 and 7, which historically restricted membership, to signal that Aaron was no longer a guest or an associate, but a validated brother. The next rank on the hierarchy is Young Baby Insane, or YBI. After moving past Young Gangster, these members have proven they handle their business and earn respect in the set. They already know the rules, the history, and the culture. Now it's about showing it through action and consistency. At this stage, you can't just talk the talk, you live it. Young Baby Insane members carry themselves with confidence, loyalty, and the kind of respect that comes from putting in real work. They're trusted to step up, represent the culture, and show younger members how it's done. In the set, this rank separates the ones who just know the history from the ones who embody it, proving they belong and can hold it down. To earn this rank, you are either making lots of money and splitting it with your set or putting in work on the rivals. This rank is earned through blood, sweat, and tears, and a huge accomplishment. Aaron officially leveled up to the rank of YBI, Young Baby Insane, by proving he was the set's ultimate weapon through 2 definitive acts of validation. The first act Aaron performed to earn this rank was when he slid on a mission into rival territory. By volunteering for such a high-stakes play, he proved his loyalty outweighed his race, moving from a passive member to an active crasher who was fully willing to carry the weight of the set. Aaron solidified this promotion with a second act of dominance, by hitting one of the rivals and almost adding points to the scoreboard. By successfully targeting the Hilltop Crips and taking the fight directly to the heart of the opposition, he emerged victorious and silenced every skeptic among the old guard. By the time the smoke cleared, the leadership recognized that his work was undeniable. He was promoted to YBI, a rank reserved for the most active frontline specialists. In this last section, we look at the deadliest TikTok gangsters. At number 5.
Fake. Lil' bruh. Like for real though. Diamond shining, glistening. Oh, so lil' bruh, I ain't got diamonds in my pants. You keep calling me Tinkerbell, lil' bruh. Stop talking to me like that, lil' bruh.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to a legendary figure in these TikTok streets, Lil Jimmy. This deadly stepper from Florida is an absolute terror in the streets.
Brr, sight. On my soul, lil' bruh. Me, stamping really walking down, and I don't play around. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
I am sorry, sir. I am not quite sure what you were saying, but let's continue with the video.
Alright, lil' bruh. Alright, I'm telling you. So, like, could you just back?
Many people thought this TikTok demon had to be joking around, but the reality is those face tats are 100% real, and Buddy really thinks he is some type of stepper in these deadly TikTok streets.
Brr, sight. On my mother, twin. Bruh said this gotta be a joke. Trust me, this ain't no joke, let's swing. I ain't no jokester. Lil' bruh, I speak facts on salt. Tripping out. Brr.
That big old fake chain not be comfortable, especially when you only weigh 55 pounds soaking wet.
Hey, look, twin, I'm not gonna lie to you. That Tinkerbell stuff you keep talking about in my comments, lil' bruh, that shit really gotta stop. It gotta get to a point, lil' twin, like.
Lil Twin, I'm starting to think this man's entire vocabulary only consists of around 25 words. You feel me, lil bro?
Like a goofy. Dude, don't be coming at me with that extra, bro. Like, for real, look at where I'm at. Like, for real, like, step to me. Find out.
We need to conduct a scientific study on this young man to figure out how exactly we got here. Let me know in the comments section if this guy reminds you of the Island Boys, because that was the first thing that came to mind.
Island Boys' little sister? Bro, I'm a grown man, lil' bruh, so how could I be a sister, lil' bruh? I'm a stepper, and I'm not an island boy. I do not want to be like them.
If you guys still think the streets are cool in 2026, then you have something seriously wrong with you.
Oh, nah, twin. Oh, nah. See, I can't go for that shit right there. Can't go for that. You keep calling me Tinkerbell, lil' bruh. Stop talking to me like that, lil' bruh. I'm saying, like, for real, though. Like.
As a black man, I have to take some responsibility for this. We have been pushing the streets heavy in the culture, and this is the unfortunate result.
A princess? Lil' bruh. Brr, sight. I'm my mother, twin. I'm really like that. And I ain't playing around, little bro. I ain't no fairy tale princess, little bro. Sight.
I do admire the stepper's creativity. That was impressive the way he said on my mother.
Sight. I'm my mother, twin.
His kind-hearted and loving fans offered this incredible young man the opportunity to learn English, and unfortunately he turned down their kind gesture.
Need to learn English, little bro? You need to learn how to talk to me. I'm so twin. I'm tripping out by it. Got me thinking hard. I really know big words and you talking crazy, little bro. Sight.
After making it huge on TikTok, Lil Jimmy buys himself a new Dapper jacket and flexes on his haters.
Yeah. Talking about some nice Looney Tune jacket. Yeah. I know it's nice. You know what I'm saying? Real stepper.
In this next clip, we see Lil Jimmy get triggered again by some haters in the comment section.
Hey, you better stop calling me Tinkerbell, lil' bruh. Sight, you don't want to find out. You don't want to find out, lil' bruh. Trust me, I step for real. I'm so, lil' bruh.
The classic saying that there is someone for everyone could not be more true. This legendary TikTok stepper has a long-term girlfriend, and they make the cutest videos together.
Sight, lil' Jimmy and I got my girl, lil' Nikki. We really gonna be trying this Panda Express. We're gonna rate it. See what it's standing on for real. We both got the same thing. So we gonna see what it is, man. The only thing we got different is the main. She don't like the rice and I don't like the noodles. So like, but everything else we got the same. We also got this spicy chicken. What is it called again?
Dynamite chicken. Dynamite sweet and sour chicken.
Dynamite sweet and sour chicken.
I am so glad Lil Jimmy was able to find someone that can understand what he says, because I have really been struggling.
Really hot, twin. I'm gonna be the judge of that. You think it's gonna be hot?
I don't know. It's a whack Chinese restaurant.
Oh yeah, we got this like burrito type, taco type.
In my entire time on this planet, I have never once seen someone mistake an egg roll for a taco. But like I said earlier, his mental bank of vocabulary words is very limited.
What do you think? Oh, it's like a sausage roll or
her father must be so proud.
Or some kind of roll. It's a what, twin?
An egg roll.
Oh my mother. Gotta take my grills out. Real talk. Sight, twin. My grill fell in my food.
This is relationship goals. What girl doesn't want to have their boyfriend accidentally drop his grill in the food? And his incredible girlfriend Lil Nikki absolutely adores him, and she constantly posts videos all over TikTok bragging about her man.
I'm obsessed with him. I don't care.
Wow, you really hit the jackpot with this guy. Your family must absolutely love Lil Jimmy, and because of how obsessed she is with him, the two lovers have decided to have a child, and Lil Nikki is pregnant with baby Jimmy. All jokes aside, you have a girl that clearly loves you. So treat her right and slow down on the face tats, because you are going to need to get a real job to provide for that child. And the more you let people scribble on your face, the harder it is going to be. I wish you guys the best of luck, and you better treat her with the respect she deserves. At number 4, the newest viral white boy that is an officially sanctioned Rolling 60s Crip is a gentleman who goes by the name NHC Stick. For this individual, we get to see what a day in the life of a ginger Crip consists of. After wasting 3 years of life rotting away in a prison cell, he is free and posting all over Instagram and TikTok.
Bro, I know ain't be the only one, bro, who get out of prison and be trying to figure out how to do shit. And you don't like going to the store, bro, having to use this tap paste. And then when the folks, I be like, how I do that, they looking at me crazy. I don't like this. I know I ain't the only one, bro.
I have no idea what this gentleman is talking about. Every store still takes regular debit cards and cash. It's not like he was locked up for decades. This gentleman was only gone for 3 years. I hate to break it to you, but not that much has changed.
Bro, what kill me is you'll go all this time talking to a and then realize one day, like, I just wasted all this time. Time that I can't get back. Like, but the way I look at it, bro, there's 3 female to every 1 male, bro. Ain't no way in the I'm finna waste my time like that, man. I don't fly, play, ain't no way in the bro. That's crazy.
Not long after making this viral video, a young lady with extreme daddy issues that wants to get back at her father ended up marrying this gentleman, and the two are currently in the honeymoon phase of falling in love.
So tell him.
Look.
Oh, wow.
This goes to show that there is someone out there for everyone, and that there is no excuse to be sitting on your couch all day feeling bad for yourself. If this guy can find a wife, then literally anyone can. This guy is so pale. Just look at all that sunburn. It seems like he beefs with the sun more than any rival gang member. According to NHC Stick, he became an official neighborhood Crip when he was only 14 years old. Unfortunately for NHC Stick, his gangbanging caused him to waste 3 of the best years of life rotting away in a cell with a bunch of sweaty men.
But motherfucker, I prayed on God, just start eating shit. Don't know what good, don't know what that's good, just keep trying. Man, motherfucker trying to get fat running this hole on God.
How this gentleman forgot what food tastes like after only 3 or 4 years in prison is absolutely insane. It's obvious he also forgot how to speak English while he was locked away, because I have been having a tough time understanding anything he says.
Hey man, check it, I just did 4 years in prison, bro. You motherfuckers talking on that bull motherfucker on your ass for real, but you feel me, like we ain't on it no more. I'm still on it for real. I'm just trying to change my life, bro. You feel me, all that games played out. My mom go to prison, get what, same homeboy, they gone, shit gone, money gone, everything you got, your house, car, all that.
This is a really good message. He is 100% right on this one. All that gang stuff really is played out, and there is nothing cool about being a Crip or being in a gang.
I went to prison, I was 17, but I had my way in the street. Fam, can't nobody say they ever did me, but I did plenty to people, you hear me? Don't let this little look fool you out of there, little bro, 'cause I'm Crip, I'm a gangster fool. My mom, I just chilled out. Y'all boys
Something is a little spooky about this photo is this. The first officially sanctioned transitioning Crip. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section, because something does not look right about him or her. At number 3, we look at the newest white boy to step off the porch and start thugging in these suburban streets.
Bro said, why would you brag about being in the hood anyway? Easy answer, Jit, because being in the hood is a flex. And it means you're hard and gangster and none of your ops will want to mess with you. Being in the hood is a flex. Stop playing.
After a couple fans remind the suburban goon that he is white, this is what he has to say about it.
Jit said, you know you're white, right? Yeah, Jit, the whitest gangster alive to live on planet Earth. That's on all my dead on Crip. Stop playing. Like, what other white boy do y'all see out in the hood every day like me? Stop playing. And look how tatted I am. Stop playing with my gangster.
As the young suburban driller continues to flex how gangster he is, fans become worried that he won't be able to find a job if he keeps getting tattoos.
Said you got 420 on your neck. Good luck getting a job. No offense, not to brag or flex or anything, bro, but I'm a gangster. I don't work a 9 to 5. I'm in a big old giant house, 2-story, fully paid off. So I don't have to ever work a day in my life ever again. So yeah.
The number 1 rule if you want to step off the porch and become a suburban goon is that you don't have a job. In suburban hoods, working and being a contributing member of society is looked down on with disgust. The only possible job you can have is being a SoundCloud rapper.
Yo, you guys be real pressed because I'm the most whitest gangster to live on planet Earth. Stop playing. I'm really the hardest out here. Like, don't you know that I'm in the hood every day? Where are my oppositions at? Nowhere to be found. I hear crickets, grasshoppers. I can't help it. I be in the hood every day. I can't help it. I'm bulletproof. I eat bullets for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, who's like me? And look how tatted I am. Stop playing. Everyone knows you have to have tattoos to be gangster. Stop playing. Like, I got that white boy wrist. My tattoos costed 20 bands. And I'm in the hood with OTF on my wrist. Stop playing. Like, you guys need to stop playing my gangsterness on Crip.
Despite having zero affiliation with Lil Durk or OTF, the suburban Crip decided to get OTF tattooed on his hand, with the hopes that it would make him look more gangster. Believe it or not, white suburban thugs with OTF tattoos is much more common than you might realize. It seems like every day another suburban goon gets this ridiculous tattoo. And in this last clip, we get to see a good old-fashioned suburban crash out.
Y'all be saying I'm not in the hood and stuff, and I'm really not thugging for it, but look, this is proof I'm in the hood. Even when I'm outside in my backyard, I have to keep my hand on my blicky just in case if oppositions try to slide at all cost. It really be gangster out here, guys.
For everyone out there, all I ask is that you guys stay safe in these suburban streets, as we know things can get deadly. While it might come off as a joke and satire, this guy really does have some affiliations, and he was saying highly offensive things towards his rivals, and as a result, some youngsters actually pulled up and started dumping at him.
Hey TikTok, I'm from Indiana, aka 317 Naptown, the owner of my city, real owner of Nap right here. Whenever I come outside, all the ops take off running like cockroaches, cause I'm really in the hood with it. Stop playing on my top, stop playing on my gangsterness, you feel me?
Fortunately, this young man was not hit and he lives to see another day. But this goes to show that you cannot say whatever you want on the internet and that there are consequences for your actions. At number 2. Nowadays, because of the hundreds of gangs that are being formed in the suburbs, this has been causing terror for the law-abiding suburban families, and there has been a lot of white-on-white suburban gang violence. This next goon from a highly respected suburban gang shows us on his TikTok what a day in the life of a suburban gang member consists of. For the sake of this video, we are going to call this TikTok goon General Zest, because as you will see with the videos he posts, somebody definitely sprinkled a little extra sweetener in his tank. In this next clip, this Zest monster posts a thirst trap on his TikTok, and it is truly one of the cringiest things I have ever seen. He captions it, "I love fat white boys," and then bro shows off the twerking skills he had been practicing for months in the mirror. This thirst trap can't be for the ladies. This one is definitely for the fellas. No straight male has ever put their body in this kind of position, bro. Definitely has way too much sweetener in his tank. When he is not posting zesty videos, he's walking around his house wearing shirts over his head like they're a hat, according to legend. Whenever someone hands him a shirt, he gets confused and ties it over his head like a hat. He then gets sentimental and posts a video of him showing how different he is in real life compared to the TikTok persona he created. As you can see, in real life, bro is a complete tweaker that desperately needs psychological help. And on the internet, he is a complete weirdo that wears shirts over his head like a hat and is zestier than Adam22 from No Jumper. After sitting around and watching a popular LGBTQ podcast called No Jumper, where they cover hip-hop, that zest in this man's heart started overflowing and he posted the cringiest video of all time.
I want to break up. Sorry. You know I love you. But love just isn't enough.
Bro must have testicular cancer, because no man, regardless of what team you play for, should have these levels of zest. This man might OD on zestiness. This TikTok thug wants all his followers to know that just because he is going to be a first ballot member in the Zesty Hall of Fame, that doesn't mean he is not hardened, bro. Lets it be known that he is ready to catch a body if any of his rivals try playing with him. He then brags how everyone looking at him thinks he is an alpha male and a player. This TikTok goon, better known as General Zest, thinks he is quite the catch, and he claims he is cracking all the baddies in his area. He then lifts up his shirt, shows off his beer belly, and makes another thirst trap that he claims is for the ladies. But we all know what his real intentions are. In case you guys haven't noticed, bro loves showing off his beer belly. This dude whips it out like it's a blicky tucked under his waistband. After flexing his big old beer belly for all his fans, General Zest then decides to make another really cringy thirst trap for the ladies. As we get older, most of us tend to mature and make better decisions. Your mindset and what you would do at 18 compared to when you're 25 is completely different. And this man wants to show off all the personal growth he has had over the years. He went from a regular-looking guy to a complete weirdo with face tats and a shirt tied over his head. Once again, after a day of doing nothing but watching No Jumper, the zest takes over and he posts this. He then goes back on TikTok and starts flexing how grown he looks. Before he started watching No Jumper, he used to be a really good kid that played football and was a productive member of society. Unfortunately, after binge-watching No Jumper, he completely changed. And he is now a zesty weirdo that wears shirts on his head. As every suburban thug knows, when you step off the porch and join a suburban gang, you're going to have police on your tail, and unfortunately for General Zest, he has found himself in and out of jail over the past couple years, and he is very proud of it, and he posts his mugshots all over social media. For a suburban gang member, going to jail is considered a badge of honor. If you don't want to end up like General Zest, then make sure you are limiting the amount of No Jumper you indulge in. If you're watching over an hour a day, eventually, that zest is going to creep into your brain and you're going to post photos like this. And there, you guys have it. The #1 zestiest TikTok gangster on the entire app. the legendary General Zest. Hopefully all you guys were able to regulate your zest levels while getting through this segment. At number 1. When thinking of TikTok gangsters and goons, this guy is literally the poster child of what I expected.
No cap. I'm about to cheese my mom right now. Her big ass cranium. Got that.
This guy is really something special and should be given the number 1 award for Son of the Year.
I'm gonna tell Joe Biden right now. What's up, baby? Take me out to dinner. Hey!
I feel like this guy and Hunter Biden would be best of buds. You can tell this man loves mind-altering substances. Whoever gets to date or marry this gem is getting quite the keeper. In this next clip, bro, makes it be known on TikTok that someone sprinkled a little extra sweetener in his tank.
Make this in the cup. We have to kiss.
This guy is one strange man with a whole lot of issues. Bro needs to be checked into rehab as soon as possible. Dude is looking worse than Charlie Sheen in his heyday. This guy needs some serious help and quick because there is a whole lot wrong with him. In this next clip, bro wants to try and rizz out for some ladies, so he starts vibing out to some Kodak Black. Be honest, ladies, what was the rizz level on this if we had to rate on a scale of 1-10? He should get an A for effort. You can tell, bro put in a lot of effort. And this was not made on the first shoot. He probably spent all night filming this love trap. And in this clip, we get to see living proof of why everyone should avoid illegal substances. As we know from the earlier video, someone sprinkled a little extra sweetener in Buddy's tank, and sometimes when he eats too many Fruit Loops for breakfast, the sweetener starts overflowing, and the zest takes over his brain, and he posts videos like this.
I'm worried about is if you could clap with no hands.
What do you mean clap with no hands?
Nothing. I've just been listening to the baby.
And then there's other times when he gets too intoxicated and takes a trip down Crystal Lane and posts videos like this that terrify his fans. And there you guys have it, TikTok's creepiest gangster rapper. Let's hope none of us ever have to spend 1 minute anywhere near this creep.